all right. We are back and we are live, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, you already know what this is. Priest and priestess beasts, you already know what this is, okay? This is such a powerful energy today, and we're going to get started. And it's a portal day, portal day. I'm hearing a replay. Am I not? Ladies and gentlemen, you already, okay. How trippy. How trippy. Okay. 1 second, guys. Let me change over to this particular stream session, live streaming. We're not the mainstream, but we do live stream. Okay. Okay. Let's get started right now. We are live. We're live. We're live. Let's go. Let's go. Forward to adepts as well. Let's go. All right. Perfect. Okay. Cool. So let's get started today, okay? I want to talk about this transitional phase right now because we are in social September. I've been socializing heavy, okay? Let me show you some conversations, just the dynamic of how it looks. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. These are very profound conversations, by the way. Very profound conversations. Okay. Now I'm looking away, right? Notice how my attention is not even on them. It's sort of there, but it's sort of also, I'm looking at my TV, okay? So it's like I'm watching TV and I'm on Monkey at the same time. So my attention is kind of diverted between two areas, right? It's like towards the performative realm, but then it's also connected to the very real world, like I'm doing something, right? And so that created a very interesting pocket and bridge for me that I believe. And it was very interesting for me to explore last night because I started to understand the hidden mechanisms behind this. And I think a lot of us guys, we're afraid of being too spiritual. We're afraid of being called woo-woo, okay? And let me tell you, this is not the worst thing. Okay, this is not the worst thing. This keeps coming up for a lot of people that I know who are afraid, maybe facing judgment, maybe afraid of expressing themselves, okay? So to you guys who have an issue with this, I want to help you out today, okay? Because this is really what is going to make you a pioneer, make you lift off in your life, in your journey. I used to feel like this in the past that I can't talk about this stuff, you know? What will people think of me? I was down that rabbit hole so I can give you my own perspective in this. Now listen, Wilhelm Reich, a man who I respect so much, and I've healed and cured people using his technology, so I can hands down say that he is an incredible human being, a high-level person. However, there was also a high-level conspiracy against him, okay? Now, he thought that there was a universal energy pervading the human body, right? And there were those that allowed the free flow of orgone in their body versus those that didn't, right? So even though he tried to convince Einstein, even though he's trying to fight aliens and demons with this energy, even though the USA, Food and Drug Administration, FDA, targeted him and claimed that he was, using unproven medical treatments, which is, yeah, you put someone in a box and call it like a solution, it's not really a solution, right? You're getting them radiation, maybe turning up the temperature a bit, but we're not really getting towards the crux of it. But I think his ideas, he lost support from mainstream psychological institutions. This was his main flaw, I believe. His early work was influenced by Freud, but then over time, he sort of distanced himself from psychoanalysis and he became more introverted, more isolated. but he also positioned himself against the scientific establishment, but also the psychoanalytic tradition, which kind of cast him further into this like fringe, right? So why were scientists against him? Okay. Well, any man who is speaking of a sexual revolution, who's obsessed with the human orgasm and is calling it orgone, and he's saying that your whole spiritual self, if you orgasm with that, right, the tension and release, it was a part of some universal life cycle. That sounds bonkers to most people, right? That sounds crazy, man. What are you talking about, right? That's most people. But he understood something which I think was very deep that the Eastern traditions understood. And I think this is why they might have adopted some of Reich's ideas because of the understanding of prana, life force, kundalini, right? So trauma is known to block the natural flow of life, that libidinal energy that we hold, that sexual energy that we hold. Where you are going to stay where you are called, and you are called in this present moment right now. You see, we are the intelligence granters to endow the animals with the gifts of intelligence, but you have to be a container rather than a fighter. You are a container and a holder of these forces of the universe, these elements. Okay. And a high truth is always diluted on the earth chakras, right? So why do you think that these events, we're headed to these events like Lake Taupo in New Zealand? It's a portal for us, right? And so, as we're telling the story of human health and transformation and human thriving, we have to tell ourselves a newer story. We have to tell ourselves a better narrative. Who agrees with me? Thumbs up, right? What good is learning about the Wall of China and memorizing an oral presentation for your English class if it can't help you ascend? Okay? Now, you might be very specialized and very intricate in your field and live in a world where science has given you remarkable insights into the nature of reality. That's cool, right? It's helped us build technology we use, the medicines we rely on, the tools of understanding ourselves. We get all that, right? For its own brilliance, science often falls into a trap, though. And I don't think that people are aware of this trap because I've been down this trap, constantly being in the world of academia, splitting myself like a hair cell, right? Just splitting myself into my own concoction of sorts, this peak performance shamanism field. And science at its core looks at the parts, not the whole, right? Science breaks down nature into fragments, studying them in isolation, hoping that if we understand the pieces, we will eventually understand the whole. That somehow, right, if I sit down and I examine molecules and neurons and individual behaviors, all in the name of understanding the largest systems of life, the universe, and even our own minds, everything will be solved, right? But there's something missing, right, in that approach. A reductionist view can't fully explain the complexity of living systems, of human emotions, of raw social dynamics. But if you zoom in too far, right, you start missing the bigger picture, the interconnectedness, the flow, the web of relationships that make up life itself, right? Like, let's take, for example, the idea of mental health, right? If this is a mental universe, then mental health is your top priority. It's often treated like some kind of a mechanical issue, right? Oh, you have a neurotransmitter that's out of balance, I'm afraid. Let's medicate it. Okay. Is that the full story, really? Okay. Is that the top of the news headline that I'm going to believe in? Come on now. Okay. We know the more insane, the more isolated, but sanity is not an individual pursuit, it's a group project. We're not islands. We're influenced by our communities, our environments, our relationships. Okay? Our mental well-being is woven into the collective fabric of society. And we can't fix mental health by isolating people from their surroundings any more than we can fix a broken ecosystem by examining one single fucking tree. Okay? Because it's all connected. The reductionist approach wants a root cause for every problem, right? It seeks a single culprit, a smoking gun, something to point to it and say, that's the one, that's it, that's the path. But this spiritual journey is a pathless path. It is a process of going internally, and that is a complex system by its nature. There is no single root cause. There are only patterns, interwoven causes, rippling effects. When you pull one thread, a dozen others are affected in this quantum entanglement soup that we're living in. So we're going slowly from the industrial Newtonian model into something more quantum. And whether we're talking about climate change, family systems and the way that they don't work and interpersonal dynamics and the intricate workings of the human brain. Why can't we simplify the problem to one factor? We can't. Life doesn't work that way. Instead, we got to recognize the complexity defies easy answers, my friend. My flow me. My flow me from another know me. Okay? It requires us to think differently. Instead of seeking to control paradigm, reptilian brain, fix every small part, we must learn to navigate. Okay? Learn to navigate the system as a whole, right? We've got to develop a mindset of interdependence, not codependence or independence. It's all me, and I must be with them. Acknowledging that everything is interconnected is the solution. However, the solutions don't come from force or manipulation. They come from realignment, from flow. This requires an ease and a humility, and it requires us to step back and realize the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Okay? All praises to the Most High, because I don't know the mechanics of this. I'm sure God does, the universe does. Source consciousness flows through it and understands, right? This is an intricate dance of life, and moving forward with wisdom is the best way forward. So today I challenge you to look beyond this kind of, simplistic reductionist lens. Let's start to embrace more complexity, right? Recognize your true nature cannot be broken down into smaller pieces. Let's see that the web of life is truly a dynamic, interconnected, flowing whole. Okay? Now, we've heard of René Descartes. Okay? René Descartes. Okay? Oh, monsieur, do you understand what I'm talking about? Okay? I believe. Let me go to this conversation for a bit. Hold on. What's this all about? Wait, like most celebrities. Taking some French phrases like basic is for creating. Bonjour is hello. I just said the most basic thing in French, right? But yeah, René Descartes, okay? Cogito ergo sum, okay? More like cogito ergo zoom. Let's go, okay? I think, therefore I am, okay? It's a phrase that's kind of shaped modern world, okay? It's shaped the entire modern world, and we understand that it's defining how we perceive ourselves in our existence. But let me ask you this, bro, or chica. Listen, hey, listen. What if Descartes got it backwards? Okay. What if, in his quest of understanding human nature, he placed thinking or rational thought at the very center of existence, and he elevated the mind above all, giving it the throne of self-awareness, but instead he introduced a split, a separation between mind and body, thought and being, intellect and essence. He created a world where thinking is the foundation of our reality. To be in our heads, okay? And we're beginning to realize this division, but not the full truth anymore. Because it's time to flip the script, flip the Cartesian split, okay? Flip the Cartesian split script on its head and see that before thoughts, before any intellectual awareness, there is something more fundamental, being. I am, therefore I think. Before we ever engage in any kind of rational thought, we exist here. Okay? Anybody over say ah? Our very presence, our consciousness, our being is the bedrock upon which all thought is built. The mind is not the ruler of existence. It's a servant for something much deeper. We are not thinkers who exist. We are beings who think. So this is one of the most ancient statements in spiritual history. I am that I am. This is the abundance code spoken by the divine in the sacred texts. And these words express the truest essence of our existence, the state of being itself, beyond reason, beyond thought, is a declaration of our presence, of selfhood, that requires no external validation, no intellectual justification, because it simply is. I am is not a thought. I am is not a concept. It's the experience of life itself. It's the direct awareness that exists before we attach labels, judgments, or ideas to it. This is the uncarved block. This is the primeval waters. This is the heartbeat of our existence. A reminder that the mind is only secondary to the miracle of being fucking alive. Because for too long, we've allowed thought to dominate. We've lived in our heads seeking to rationalize everything, to understand ourselves through mental constructs and intellectual frameworks. But what if our true nature is not something to be analyzed, but something to be experienced deeply? What if the deepest truth lies not in thinking life, but in living life? So when we flip this Cartesian split, hey, Mr. Carter, hey, where have you been? They're tracking you down now. Be worried, my friend. Okay, when we center ourselves in being rather than thinking, something extraordinary happens. We reclaim our wholeness. The mind, the body, the spirit, they aren't fragmented parts. Okay? They aren't these fragmented parts. Kim understands. Okay? Bam. Keep on falling in love, right? Bam. Okay? Kim gets it. So, to the mind, the body, the spirit, they're no longer these split parts. They're the same essential truth, I am. And in this space, thought becomes a tool. It's not a tyrant. The mind is no longer the master, right? It becomes a partner. We use it to navigate the world. We don't mistake it for the essence of who we are, guys, right? So we got to shift our focus from I think, therefore I am, to I am, therefore I think, not the other way around. Like let's embrace the thought that our being precedes and transcends thought. And in doing so, we can tap into this wisdom of the ages. I am that I am. Right? The divine statement, it's a call for all of us to recognize the sacred powers flowing through our existence, to live from a place of presence grounded in our own awareness, where we're already complete and whole. We don't need to think our way into presence. We do not need to think our way to our true nature. We simply need to rest there. You see, I had experiences that I had no references of, right? And that flipped my mind around. But my mind is not all that there is. I understand it. A lot of people, yes, in the Kybalion, they say all is mind, but we got to understand we've marginalized different things in culture, especially sexuality, right? Now it's a taboo. Fetishes are something like, you know what I mean? Like fetishes are a variation of sexual preference, and we made it into a dis-ease. What do you mean dis-ease? The opposite of ease, my friends. We made it a fully chaotic thing, right? Rather than what? Fully consensual, not harmful to others. Is it a fetish? Right? Well, no, it's a fetish. It's classified as a psychiatric disorder. Okay. So if you ever felt judged, criticized, there is no self. I think where I am not. I like that. Okay. If you've ever felt judged, criticized, or even ridiculed for being too woo-woo, this message is for you. Okay.
Maybe you've been told by your spiritual practices are weird, your connection to the universe and metaphysics is out there, and your beliefs don't belong in the real world. And maybe, just maybe, when you felt the weight of those judgments, second guessing yourself, wondering if you're too different, you're too mystical, you're too outlandish, let me explain to you and remind you that you are something powerful. The very thing people judge you for is often your greatest strength that they're judging you for. Can I get an amen? Okay. In a world that's obsessed with logic, structure, linear thinking, people who explore the realms of the unseen, who tap into these invisible energies and intuition, are like the pioneers charting a path beyond the fucking ordinary life. So you're exploring what many are too afraid to confront, right? The infinite possibilities exist beyond the physical self. Yes, you're woo woo. Okay. But guess what? That's not a flaw. When you embrace the woo-woo, you're reclaiming something ancient and primordial and profound. For thousands of years, mystics, shamans, sages, witches, seers, everybody has been trapped by this dogma instead of tapped into these realms. You're part of a lineage of wisdom keepers. Holy shit. People who've dared to look beyond the surface and connect with the deeper currents of life. So people will judge you because they don't understand you. It's not your job to make them more comfortable. Your job is to stay aligned to your truth, even if it feels like it doesn't relate, even if it feels like people don't get it. Because guess what? Let's be honest. At the core, we're all fucking woo-woo, right? We all feel things we can't explain. We all have had experiences that defy our fucking logic. And deep down, everybody is searching for meaning beyond this material world. So the real question is, are you fucking brave enough to own it? When you embrace the parts of you that seem mystical and unconventional, you invite others to do the same. You show them that it's okay to be curious, to wonder, to believe in something bigger. You give them permission to explore the hidden dimensions of this life that they might be afraid to acknowledge. So the next time someone rolls their eyes at you, at your crystals, your meditation practices, your connection to energy, or your belief in something greater, just remember, their judgment says more about their fear than it does about your truth. You are exactly what the world needs. You are not too much. The world needs people who are willing to go beyond the boundaries of this shit, who dare to explore consciousness, who can bridge the gap between the seen and the unseen. It needs people who can bring the heart, the heat, the passion, the intuition back into the equation again. So own that fucking woo-woo. Wear it as a cape, wear it as a jacket, wear it as a bumper sticker. I don't give a fuck. Stand strong in your beliefs. You are not alone. You are part of a Primal Sutra movement. And I'm here to shake things up as Uncle Makara. Shake up the status quo, shake up these elites, awaken the minds, and reconnect people to the sacredness of life. So when you feel judged or misunderstood, you let that be a reminder that you're on the edge of something extraordinary and you gotta keep going. You just gotta keep going, man. Keep fucking going. The world will catch up to you eventually. The world will catch up to you eventually. Thank you for being brave enough, man. For being exactly who you are. You know, we all do it, right? At some point in our lives, we make these small, almost invisible compromises, right? Rejecting parts of ourselves to fit in, to belong. I've done it most of my life, okay? I've accepted to be part of the crowd, but then it starts innocently enough, right? We want to avoid judgment altogether, right? Feel validated, be a part of something larger, but we also hide parts of who we are. We tuck away our quirks, our passions, our dreams, right? We start to wear these masks convinced that if we could just fit into this box or meet that expectation, we'll finally be enough. But here's the truth that no one tells you. Every time you reject a part of you to fit in, you deepen your separation from your true self. Let that really sink in, bro. For real. And that separation is the playground of your ego. Your ego thrives on division. It tells you you're not good enough as you are. You need to be more like them. Okay? It creates a gap. It creates a false sense of identity where you're built on fitting into the societal media. And the more you listen to the ego, the more disconnected you become from who you truly are, the more you reject parts of yourself that don't fit the crowd, the more fragmented you feel inside. Because your ego is separation. It is the voice that keeps you chasing phantoms. Phantoms of validation, phantoms of approval, phantoms of belonging that were never real to begin with. And the harder you chase, the further you drift from your essence, your wholeness, your being, your primordial essence, your prima materia. You see, the ego is always chasing after something external, right? Some version of success, some form of recognition, some ideal image you're trying to live up to, but the joke's on us. Because those phantoms, they're not real, bro. They're illusions just to keep you moving the goalpost further and further away. So what happens when you stop the chase? What happens when you stop running after those phantoms and turn inwards? It's fucking scary. You start to reclaim the parts of yourself you've rejected. You begin to see that there was never anything wrong with you. That the passions, the weird idiosyncrasies you had, that was your gold. That was your raw power. That was the essence who you are. And no crowd, no external validation is worth the price of losing yourself over that. Okay? Don't trade your authenticity for approval. Your ego wants you to believe you need something outside of yourself to be complete. When you're already whole, there is no separation. That sense of separation, the idea that you need to be something different, something more, that's the whole trick. Okay? The trick the ego plays to keep you in a constant state of thriving and never arriving. But let me tell you this again. Stop chasing them phantoms. Okay? Stop looking outside for things you think will make you worthy. Because the real work is unlearning the idea that you were never, ever not enough. The real work is reclaiming the parts of yourself you've left behind to fit in. Because fitting in isn't belonging. Belonging is when you fully show up as you are and the world around you adjusts to your truth. It's not the other way around. It's not. So today I challenge you, just take a step back, look at the ways you've rejected your own brilliance, your own uniqueness, just to meet somebody else's expectations. Okay? And slowly but surely start to reclaim those parts of yourself, piece by piece, right? When you want more, you're thinking of yourself as less than. Yep. Facts, right? Ain't that a factoid? I think the schizo prophet, you understand what I'm saying, right? About, did you listen to my first part of this lecture about science and its reductionist nature? Man, the path of wholeness isn't about chasing something outside of you, right? It's about integrating what's already within you. So when you stop chasing phantoms, you realize that everything you've been searching for was never outside of you, right? It was within you all along, this whole time. It's like, a lot of movies we watch, right? A lot of movies we watch, we grow up and we see that the character is going from one place, they're so fragmented, isolated by themselves, and then they find someplace that they call home, but then they go on a journey, they go on a quest to find their true sense of self, not even realizing that all that had to change was the perception, the identity fragment that they were looking through. They were splitting up their journey, whereas they needed to see it as interconnected, and that's the whole idea of the hero's journey, I believe, right? So, can you believe being shy? Can you explain being shy? Yeah. Hmm. It's so funny. Extroverts always look at introverts as weird, and introverts always look at extroverts as fake. So let that say something. Okay. Let that say something. I truly believe that being shy is a self-consciousness, right? We're worried about ourselves. We're trying to micromanage ourselves in the face of meeting somebody else. Okay. We're overthinking communication, right? So I used to be very shy, okay? Like super shy, the shyest kid around, okay? I would just observe things. It made me a very good observer and listener, okay? It made me a very, very profound listener. However, at the same time, I understood I gotta push and train this extroversion. And that's what I did growing up, right? I put myself through these situations where I would force my ego to take action and split out of the isolation, you know, the feeling of I'm not enough, and have it poking inwards like this, right? So the internal journey, once I started to clear that through my energetic practices, through meditation, through understanding all this stuff, then I started to get out of my shell. I started to shake this pattern up because I started to recognize myself. Wait a minute, I was a social being all along. You know, if they say humans are social creatures, is it that we're shy, or you're socially conditioned to be shy, which is wild, right? You're being socialized not to socialize. What the fuck paradox is this, right? Most of the time, it's a problem of constant reinforcement. And yeah, the problems are internal, right? You don't have an external problem. It's because you're responding to the external problem internally, right? All the time. And so it comes back always to do the inner work, right? But most of us don't do that. Okay. We don't sit with ourselves and ask ourselves the questions like, notice the negativity around you, right? And say that out loud. Like, why are people so annoying? Well, let's take that as true. What does that mean about you? Why is that so bad that people are annoying, right? And you do the inner work like that. You ask yourself the difficult questions, right? Why am I avoiding facing something? What part of me wants this problem to continue, right? What part of me likes holding on to this problem and wants it to actually harness and continue and be a part of my narrative and storyline, right? And that's the thing, you know? That's the thing. Yeah, reinforcement, right? Your environment reinforces it. Maybe somebody else is reinforcing it within you, right? Oh, you're always like this. Oh, you're always like this. Oh, you're never going to be there on time. Oh, you're never professional. Oh, you're never like that, right? And you're hearing that all the time. It's like a programming, right? It's like MK Ultra, okay? But it's your own family's doing this to you, okay? So really, you gotta shake yourself out of it, right? Like I tell people to shake, bioenergetic shake, because that's where they're gonna shake off all of their traumas like this, right? They're going to actually be able to take all of the storylines, all of the gunk that is holding on to them, holding them back and just shake it off, right? As Taylor Swift said, but she had it in a weird conceptual way that doesn't really go with the primal side of actual bioenergetic shaking. But she did say shake it off, right? So we'll go with her version of it. Shake it off. Okay. Or whatever she sings. And the hate is gonna hate. Okay. So I've been doing the shower ritual daily, daily, without a doubt, without a question. Okay. And this was from Agwe, the channeling. And it was very powerful, this download I got. And nowadays I get into the shower and I do my affirmations in the shower. Okay. I also, EFT tap in the shower, and I've created a ritual around it, right? The adepts know what I'm talking about. So now that I'm doing this, I'm fully embodying like this water sign energy within myself right now, right? Because now I'm connected to the water. And I posted this the other day. Okay. Okay.
Water is God. And that would mean God is both in us and all around us. That God is both above and below us. Why a woman's water breaks when we're born, and why some religions observe the ritual of baptism. But if water was God, then that would mean that God has no gender, that God takes the shape of whatever container God appears in, which would explain why we have so many different belief systems, which begs the question, what is the spiritual significance of poisoning the water in Flint, Michigan, or the oil burning in the Gulf of Mexico, or the large islands of garbage floating in the Pacific Ocean? If God was water, would that not mean that every natural place is holy? That every thunderstorm was a church without walls? That when the rain falls, it's an act of God's death giving life? And when it evaporates again, it's the day of resurrection? And life itself was just a test of learning how to be and flow like water, how to give life to other people, and how to refresh their spirits and quench their thirst. Your presence.
Man, okay. This made the Indian monsoons a lot easier. All right, Zach. Like my shower for the next days is a hurricane. Damn, that's fucked up. Be careful out there, man. Don't want you, you know. don't stare too directly into the eye of the storm, be the storm, right? That's something, it's such a Makara thing to say. All right, so yeah, man. So that's the thing. Like, what if water, this idea of flow, the flow state, what if we were right this whole time, guys? Right? What if this theme of water was greater than we thought? Water was within us and without us, right? Outside of us. Dang. Woo! Such a powerful insight that one was. Um, all righty. I think we're done. This was a great stream. Okay. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll end it. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. Maybe we'll just do a card reading, a real quick one. Let me just use this guidebook instead. Okay, let's go. What does the collective need to hear right now? You are the answer you seek. You hold the treasure, the magic, and the mystery. Right now, you're being encouraged to recognize that you're a valuable part of the universe's plan. If you have a strong desire to share what you've learned, it's the time to do so. This can be scary, sometimes overwhelming, because putting yourself out there can leave you open to scrutiny. But if you're comfortable with your gifts and your teachings, you hold a sacred energy that allows others to see you clearly. The light of the Magdalene, Mary Magdalene, is surrounding you now and encouraging you to recognize that the healing you have experienced is actually what you're here to teach. Take some time to reflect on what you've overcome and see that this experience can help many. Your personal testimony can move others and even mountains. So lean on your creator and know that you're being called to be a vessel for the sacred. The flow state goes deep. The very energy moves the waters within. Yep. Man. Why do you think I dedicated my entire life to the state of consciousness, Zach? You know, it's so profound that I just decided like this would make me timeless because I am attaching to the concept that stretches beyond time and space, right? It creates a timelessness pocket, right? Flow. So yeah, man, it's been a beautiful journey thus far, you know, and I think we're just continuing to learn. And as this background is showing, this is like a dreamscape. We're all just awakening in the dream, and we're starting to understand the real power, the living water that flows within us. And I think that each and every day we begin to recognize that the divine masters, the congregation of enlightened souls, these spiritual guides, they're within our own psyche, and they've been here to support us this entire time, waiting for our call, right? But you have been called to be in vibrational match to this moment, right? So you're watching this here for a reason, and just take this message and just embody it, embellish it within your own grace, and then move forward with a new avatar. I'm going to be doing a ritual for all adepts today. It's going to be based on self-validation and self-qualification, and we're going to remove that from our collective because we want to replace it with self-esteem, high self-esteem, high self-confidence, high self-love. And I think this is going to be a ritual that goes a very, very long way. So stay tuned. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. You got this. We got this. May the flow be with you. Okay. Let's get it today.